for this conversation today. I'm really happy to have you here and to start a dialogue about how we can create a holistic future. So welcome very much, Stefan.
Thank you for inviting me for this podcast. Thank you.
So I read a very interesting post of you on your Facebook page called The New Wave into Business, that was called How We Can Create, with the support of God, a new world, new business. Can you tell me a little bit about what is this all about?
Well, thank you, Swanette, first of all. And it's all about a journey. And I guess all of the listeners of this podcast, when they look back into their life, they realize that most of what they planned never really happened, or that they had crisis, and then the journey turned toward another target. So I think the first step into a holistic view on the world is to accept that there is more than just your plan. And now that you actually address the Facebook page, which is called The Power of God in Business, it seems a bit contradictory. I mean, maybe some of your listeners to this podcast would ask the question, what does God have to do with business? God is one thing and business is the totally other things. Yes, true, but
it was something that triggered me, so
but so I mean, I guess you realize, let's assume you have a relationship, you have a partnership, whatever, you have a dispute over some issue at home. I think we all do have these disputes and crises, or conflicts. And then you go to work, or vice versa, you have a conflict at work, you go home. From my experience, you take this conflict either into work or you take it back home. If you're aware around it or not, it doesn't matter. You are in this energy, right? So
yes.
If you deny it and you say, yeah, at home it's all different, in my experience, by coaching many, many people, there is no difference in your mind between 9 and 5 and 5 and 9. You're the same person.
Yes.
So, you always carry the same mind around wherever you are.
Yeah, of course. I have my head, and in my head is my mind. So it's
exactly.
with me.
So the point is I'm trying to make here is that you cannot kind of split your mind into two parts and saying this part is private and this part is professional. It is one mind. Actually, as a matter of fact, the Greek word for mind and heart used to be one.
Yeah.
It was one word. So the Greek already understood something, that there's a unity. So I think in business, we need to learn, at least the one organization who truly capture the whole of the people. They really operate from a more holistic view, which is a more view on the potential of the entire person.
Okay.
Like many, many organizations in our world who run it on kind of fear, on goals. I'm not saying goals are bad, but you limit yourself. Now, if you engage some high potential, as Steve Jobs said, we're doing an enormous amount of research, we're doing assessment center, we do spend time and money, and then we select the best. Once they're selected, we just tell them what they have to do. I mean, it's really senseless. If you select high potentials, the best, you should get out of their way and let them do.
Yeah.
Now, we kind of once we hired these guys, we shrink them into 10%. Now, how smart is that? Shrinking people into their potential of 10%. It's like, when you enter the door of the office, you make them say, okay, forget about anything, who you are and what's your mind. I just want 10%. That's not very smart, and it's not entrepreneurial.
No, but it's the old tradition that we have very tight frames in which people can behave, and so there are rules, and you don't come. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think the approach of modern organizations is that we believe in people. It's not the old form of saying, everybody likes everybody. That's not the approach. The approach is that your basic assumption is that people want to contribute to something meaningful in your corporation.
So this means that you should have something that is very meaningful, that you have a purpose and a clear vision.
Sure. Ideally, yes. However, it's not, from my experience, it's not just that you have to kind of provide the purpose up front, that you set the bar up front saying, okay, we have kind of a very meaningful purpose that is based on sustainability, and this is the only way. No. Actually, people want to see that you are serious about a transformation. People want to see that even if you are in a company that, let's take some extremes, who produces weapons, for instance. Nobody would ever want to say or ever want to consult or coach a company that produces military stuff. However, I would, if the senior leaders of that company say, listen, we got it. We need to change our business. Now, this is the kind of energy people want to connect to. This is what people can feel and sense, and that's meaningful because it gives them kind of security. It's kind of a framework where they feel and know it's turning towards the better.
Okay.
So this is what we really need. We don't need the perfect circumstances. We need leaders who are serious about a meaningful transformation.
And is it only the idea that they need to have, or is it also their behavior?
Now, first and foremost, it's behavior. Leaders get tested every day, and they get tested by the behavior. That's like, how do you bring up children?
Walk the talk.
You walk the talk because they're so fast to sense the difference between what you say and what you do. Yeah. But it's the same with adults. I'm sorry, guys. It remains the same style. So the starting point, and actually your boss is only as good to you as good you are to your boss. So if you want to have a boss that is serious and eager about meaningful transformation, you are also the one that is asked to do the first step. So you in your life, and the first step in your life is to see yourself as one whole mind. Whatever your split is, if your split is between private or professional, where, in the spiritual world, it's sometimes the split between spiritual and material. It's either or. No, it's not. It's one. So the first approach is to sit down and find out what is your split. So what is your either or? You can have either money or
being good.
Love. Whatever your split is. And that you challenge the split. It's just not true. And if you don't find evidence in your life, of course you wouldn't find it, because you build your life and your reality around your belief. So at this point, it's like a game that we call play as if.
Mm-hmm.
Now, play as if it was one. Play as if your private life and your professional life are based on the same person, on the same Swanette, on the same Stefan. And she or he is no different between 9 to 5 and 5 to 9. Just assume as if it was one. And actually, I'm carrying out a survey right now about the trends in coaching, digital coaching.
Yeah.
And I asked 2 questions amongst 12. And the one is like, what are the reasons why you do ask for professional coaching in a professional context, and why private? And funny enough, there was no real split between the two, but people who would cross reasons, I want to improve my leadership style, my behavior, and so on and so forth, would also cross off other private reasons. So they actually showing that when you have troubles, you may have them in both fields.
Yeah. So if you solve them in one field, it will disappear in the other one as two. Yeah.
Exactly. If you solve the problems facing in your partnership, maybe, you're competing with your wife or your partner, you show the same pattern in business. Or if you heavily compete at business, it's really a little bit naive to think you're not carrying this competitive pattern to your marriage, to your partnership, to your relationship. Now, for all the guys out there, I'm telling you, competing in bed, that's not going to be funny. You will find some scarcity around your sex life. This is not really funny, but that's competition. Competition will tell you there's only this much. It's a scarcity. And what we want is abundance. And for abundance, the first step is to really accept, what is my split in mind? So what are these poles? What are these opposites? And then play as if, think as if they were one, Yeah. And then start from there, because if you truly started to believe and accepted it, you are one, you will see shifts in your behavior. Now, if you see shifts in your behavior, maybe you start from competition. You think there's only this much. And it's either him or me who can win in this market. You will see there's a whole lot more in the playing field out there by the mindset of cooperation.
Yes. So you see, if you have the idea that you are splitted in some kind and become one again, you can start the transformation from an ecosystem to an ecosystem.
The other way around, yeah.
The other way around, from an
yeah, we're so used to the ecosystem. Yeah, it's just in our mind. And
so, okay, you can see where I come from.
So, yeah, where it comes from. It's so, we're so engraved into that.
Yeah.
And I think a second step, or a second thought that is quite necessary. In my journey in this development, the early stages, people tell you from the world of coaching and the spiritual world, you better become enlightened. I can tell you, after watching all the years into the wall, I found out I will never get enlightened. I can sit as long as I want. I'm just not made for enlightenment.
So, however the definition for that is.
Yeah, however. So the point I'm trying to make for us is, forget about the goal or the pressure of being perfect. That only enlightenment will do it. Only if you were without ego, it would do it. Nah, I don't think so. I think exactly the opposite. I think we should accept the fact that we do have an ego. The question is not if you can overcome the ego, because I know very few people, really, I probably can count them on my hand. The point is that it's more about this acceptance. I do accept I'm not perfect. I do accept that I have an ego. And the only point is that we don't allow this ego to dominate our journey, dominate our goals, dominate where we choose to go. So that's like, it's like having a dog, you won't have your dog dominate when he's getting his food, where he sleeps. Well, for some, from some Kiwis, I know the dog sleeps in their bed, but but in normal terms, and your ego, just to use a small picture, is, your ego is like your dog. You have a dog, but you decide how dominant this dog will become. You decide how dominant your ego will guide your direction, will guide your steps, will guide your base of decision. So that's the next step.
Yeah, okay. I had a dog, and I don't want to tell you more about my bed.
But it would be interesting, though.
But I figured out if I have security in her behavior, and I'm sure in what kind of frame she can be free, and when it is me to set the rules, and my ego has to come out and dominate her, it was easy to live with her.
Yeah, and you can even decide for 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever in your day, and you can have your dog go crazy. You can let them free, and then they walk or they run after something or they bark or whatever. I mean, give your ego 15 minutes free time where it is allowed to go crazy. Make sure you don't harm anyone. But yeah, come on. That's how we are built. So we better accept it. Now, once you have acceptance over it, guess what? It will calm down. Say, okay, yeah, you're around too, fine, yeah. But I'm the boss. I'm the driver of my life. You aren't. We're still. We are humans. We have this mind. This mind gives us choice. We do have choice. There's always a choice.
Yes, if we are aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think this often comes in the way that we don't think that we can choose our direction or our way. But we have to behave in a certain way that is accepted in our society, or is due to our beliefs or something like that.
Yes, you're fully right. Now, step number 3 is to become aware or to become conscious what's really happening in your life. Yeah. And for most of us, particularly in the Western world, we are so used to running all day, running from this appointment to that appointment. Like mommies are, like 24 hours, 7 for their kids. They run for one meal to the next meal, preparing, bring them to the soccer game and catch them from music and da-da-da. The man is running from one meeting to the next meeting, or from one goal achievement to the next. So we are not used to sit back and observe what's happening. We just, and if you just follow the mainstream rhythm, then it's very difficult to take a position where you can reflect what's really happening. So the step number 4 is then truly to start taking some time during your day and just be still. Well, I do know some people are busy because they don't want to be still. Because the stillness will bring up all the issues that were covered, you know. No, I'm happy. Our marriage is great. You know, I'm achieving this goal. There won't be any problem. Now it's building up the steam, and you think, oh God, if I stay still for 10 minutes, all this stuff will, you know, appear.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's like, I think it's still a little bit naive in the terms of understandable though, you know, but because who wants to deal with these, you know, emotions, you know, and particularly men, you know, we were never trained about feeling emotions, and, you know, emotions to us was like, woo, what's that? The other day I read a postcard that said, our newspaper said, men do have emotions, hunger and thirst. I think, yes, that's a good confirmation. So I think, you know, unfortunately, in my experience, it takes some event to happen to you that you start standing still. So people become ill, people get fired, you know, they lose the partner, get separated, or the kid, something happens to the kid. So something that is meaningful, you know, that reflects part of your values does happen to trigger that you start wanting to change something in your life, because, you know, the old way wasn't as good as it seemed to be.
Yeah.
I have seen very few people who start out of a positive event changing. You know, something great happens, they achieve something, and then they change the way. Typically, it's the other way around. If you fail, then there's a chance for you to start changing your course. And now when you're at this point, and I would advise that the sooner the better, before it gets a big event, that you start just observing in those 5 or 10 minutes what is really happening in your life, what is happening at work, what is the pattern that you can see. Is it about competition? Is it about denial that we're failing? Or is it about conflicts, you know, that you accept that they're there? So it's not about changing them immediately. It's not about saying, oh, we need to change. You know, that's the biggest buzzword in the industry, change. No one can hear it anymore. Change is every day. No. You don't need to change at all. You just want to observe, listen, and reflect. And with, you know, when you start observing, listen, and reflect, gradually the juice, which are the emotions, actually the juice is the driver of transformation. We want this juice to happen. You know, it's like when you're falling in love without juice, it won't happen. You know, so for the man, juice is good. For the women, juice is excellent. We need it as the driver of change. It will actually make things for you a lot easier to transform. Now, we need to learn to let this happen. Now, I will just come back to how I did learn. You know, I've failed many, many times in my life. And you know, it was really the hard way of learning. But exactly in these moments where I failed, there was some sort of opening of a door. you know, either it was a friend who came to help, you know, who would all of a sudden appear out of nothing, or somebody would give me a book that would actually make the turning, or I would listen to a podcast like the one that we are having right now. You know, for some reason, if I allowed myself and be courageous enough to stand still, in my experience, all the tools, be it a person, be it a book, be it audio, be it video, whatever, would appear in the right moment to make the turn, to make it to the better, you know, to solve the problem. And actually, in my experience, the so-called problems weren't problems after all. They were opportunities for a better life, for a better leadership, for a better partner, for a better lover, for a better business owner. And so I realized that there was something happening in the moment when and where I accepted that I'm not in the right position, in the right family, or I'm not doing the right thing in the partnership. I'm looking at, you know, there's a better way on taking the perspective on situations. And one of the elements for some of us, not for everyone, you know, some turn to the coach, some turn to the parents, some turn to the partner, some turn to the kids, some turn to sports. You know, there are many ways. Some turn to art, some turn to concerts. You know, wherever you turn to, it is given to you because that is your way of opening your heart. You know, transformation comes from having a compass. Now, the best compass that I know is the compass of your heart, because your heart is pretty smart. What is good for you?
No.
Now, the question is not that we, you know, differentiate between mind and heart. In my experience, it's just the question, what comes first? So the heart will give you direction, and the mind will give you following through. So the mind is in this mode of manifesting. The mind will give you how to do it, and the heart will tell you where to go. Yeah. So if we get these two, one after the other, now, as I said, some people will open their hearts when they listen to music or when they see a piece of art, where some go out into nature, or some of it do sport. The main thing is do it with being connected to it, you know, being in it, being with it, you know, be fully aware of it. Now, once you do that, you know, the life, you know, will invite you for the next step and actually will show you there is a solution. It will come. And for some of us, it is something that we call higher purpose, existence, or universe. Some call it Buddha, or others call it God. However you name it, it's not important. What's behind it is always at the bottom of it, it is what we call love. Yeah. And love, basically, it's not the kind of love. I fell in love with this man or with this woman, you know, and I'm carrying those glasses around. Everything is pink. No, that's not what I mean. That's a nice feeling too, but it will fade away over time. What I'm meaning is, it is the connection. So love is just the connection and the knowing that it's all one. You know, it's connected. You know, it's not the mind and the heart is not two separate things. You know, so nature and I am not separated. we are one.
Of course.
And I could sense it, for all those friends of New Zealand. I'm, when I get out of the plane and, first step, Auckland, and then when I drive to the Southern Island, I can feel this connection. I can feel it. I'm rooted, and I become very peaceful and very open. And people tell me, you become a very charming person. Your esprit is like. So, I find myself being one with nature. Now, other people are one with music, And once you're one with music, it's you relax. All the fences that you have between yourself and the world, to feel secure, they fall off. And then this is what we call the flow. The flow is just basically means that is you are in this pure energy. I guess when you ask Sebastian Vettel, the Formula One racer, when he's in the car and he, is driving these loops, that he's just one with the car. Yeah. He doesn't have to think about which gear, he can sense it. Some people said Michael Schumacher could feel technical problems with his bottom. He could say, oh yeah, it's this problem in the engineering department. So he's one, and whatever it is for yourself, you will find out, what is true for you, whatever access you have. But this is the door that will help you now, to become centered, to become rooted, and to start realizing I do have a choice. There is a choice, I can choose to follow this company, this position, this project. And many people tell me, well, Stefan, no, I can't, because my CEO, my CTO, my CFO tells me I gotta have to do it. Sure, yes, but you still have a choice. You're not, you're not a dog who says, yeah, I bark back and say, yes, I will do this. This is what certainly. We're not, I mean, the choice is not I will do it or I won't do it. The choice is what is the true value between or behind my choice? When you feel it's not right for you to do it and you still do it, then most probably you are choosing for safety or you are choosing for recognition, because if you're, vice president and you got your nice car, your nice office, and 3 times a year vacation with the family, everybody knows it, and say, listen, or look at Stefan, how well he's doing. I mean, choices or chances are you are up for recognition, which is okay. But realize you've taken a choice. You're taking the choice of I rather have recognition than the freedom of mind. You are taking a choice. And you want to know what's your price, because you pay a price. And of course, it looks easier to say, yeah, I will do this, because you're after, my big car, my Porsche, my office, my family, my vacation, and you name it. But you will pay a price. The price is that, you will know when you look into the mirror that you're sacrificing your freedom. You're sacrificing self-acceptance for that choice. Yeah. Now, I tell you, in my experience, and I'm kind of very consistent in taking choices, I sometimes did turn down offers knowing that the fridge of our family would be empty. But I knew that the very next day in the morning, I'd be looking into the mirror and I would be growing in my self-acceptance because, I would I would stand with my values. I would stand with the quality I'm looking for. I would be authentic. You know, people would know, yeah, you can buy Stefan, you know, maybe for $1 billion. But that's the point. And people do respect you more for that you are consistent, that you are authentic, that what you think, what you believe, and what you do is in line.
So it's about authenticity, to be to walk the talk, and to be clear in what and how you behave, and being all in your values. Yes.
Yeah. So you know, you want to be this congruent person, as you said, walk your talk. And now, you know, step number 5 is to find out who you are. I mean, a simple question, but kind of a quite of a big PhD research on who you are. So what is the easiest way of finding who you are? You just watch your behavior. And if you don't see it, you ask your partner, your wife, your friend, your colleague, you know, your boss, just about behavior. So what do you do? And the simplest way is asking them, what do you do in a crisis situation? In a difficult situation? What do you do? Because that is actually the acid test to who you are. You know? So step number 5, you know, find out, grab some people you really trust, and ask them, you know, how do I behave in a crisis situation?
So it's about the true identity and not about the mask you're wearing.
Well, for some people, it is the mask. And of course, you know, we don't need to tell our boss all of the things, you know, you tell our partner. That's not necessary. But, you know, but if you build your daily practice, your daily work, or your daily relationship about a mask, then it becomes really painful and stressful, because you need to keep up this mask. You know, you actually, it's like you're designing another person. Now, every day when you get up, for your partner, for your boss, for your suppliers, for whoever you work with, you know, you basically have to work for 2 persons. You have to work for yourself and then for this mask. So, well, you know, if I'm busy and stressed out, I would rather give up one of these 2 identities. Probably the mask, which takes a lot of strain out of your life. You know, people who had, you know, 2 girls or 2 guys running at the same time, you probably know what I mean. It's fun for some time, but then it gets really straightforward.
So, do you think there is a kind of resistance to find the own identity, the true self, for people? What can it be?
Sure. I mean, you know, it is the very essential question in life. Who am I? Why am I here? You know? And, you know, most people get only in touch with that question when they're over, most of us are over 40, maybe 50. Some people call it midlife crisis, you know, when you've done this success and sold this one and achieved this goal and da-da-da. And then you start thinking, okay, what's now? I've done this. So, and this question is so essential that, you know, most people are afraid of knowing who they are. And it reminds me about Nelson Mandela and Marianne Williamson, about their speech, What We Fear Most. You know, as they discovered, we fear most our greatness.
Yeah.
You know, so think about it. Most people say, oh, if only I was successful, if only I had this much money. and I would do da 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 da. Yeah, yes, but let's be honest. Put yourself in a position from now to the next moment where you had 1 billion. How would you feel? Sure enough, for 10 minutes, you'll feel great. But 12 minutes, somebody will call and take some of that money because they want to have some of it. And then you believe, oh, I need to share. Oh, I need to protect myself, or you become promoted as the vice president or senior vice president or chief executive or whatever. For the first moment, where the champagne and all that stuff is filling glasses, you're happy. But then when the crowd is gone, you think, who will be the one who wants my position? Who is the one who is hiding information? So it is our greatness that we fear most. Because with the greatness comes accountability. It comes responsibilities. And now, responsibility is not, okay, I'm responsible for this revenue and for this company, for these people. No, responsibility is the ability to respond. Now, when you're in charge, there are a lot of people calling for help. They may not, come with words, I'm calling for help. They come and want to grab something of your time, something of your success, something of your power, and this comes sooner than later. And now you need to be able to discern. You need to know what is meaningful and what is just grabbing of my attention. You need to have a very good compass, build this compass around, integrity, around, how can I cope with that situation and not thinking I have to do it my own. And for some of us, again, there is this when they grew into these positions, if they were lucky, they found out it's not about them. It's again this ego thing. So for some of us, they realized it wasn't them achieving this goal. It wasn't them achieving this revenue. They realized it was through them. So they were chosen to fulfill that. It was like, they're just a vehicle. But this vehicle, it was just, that was a kind of a part-time rent to them. It was a test. It was like a test giving you a dog, like your ego, can, assume, I'm just this, little dog helping, a blind dog helping a blind person to find his way. But I'm not more. I'm just a supporter. I'm just a transformer. I'm a bridge builder. I'm, the one, but it's not me. Now, most people think it's me. Now, the disadvantage of thinking it's me is when things don't go as they should in business, guess what? You think it's still me. Now, boy, you are in trouble. And, so you better make sure you get kind of, you start growing your capacity of, dog and ego sitting, doing dog and ego sitting by finding out who you are, asking if you don't find yourself, how do I behave? And asking what is my behavior in difficult situations, by accepting and not by punishing yourself. Oh, I should do better. Now that's even worse now. But by saying, okay, I'm not perfect. I'm not meant to be perfect. I am meant to learn. I'm a learner.
Yeah.
That's all. We're just on this planet to learn. We're supposed to make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, it's difficult to learn. You won't find out. This lifetime is about experimenting with your vehicle. Make it a big vehicle. Make it a great vehicle that you can bring lots of your friends, lots of your partners, lots of business people along, and you are in charge. You make the drive after consulting your heart, after consulting who I am, what I'm here for. What is my service? In Germany, being of service is a real bad thing. People don't want to serve. That's, but service is the best thing that can happen to you. It grows your capacity of being a true leader.
And it comes back.
And it returns back. It may not come through the door you gave it through, but guess what? If you become a leader who knows the reason why he's here for, who knows the kind of vehicle that he is meant to be, he would allow everyone else to become his own vehicle. So the advantages now, particularly in organizations, in the business world, we want, our team members to become meaningful vehicles for transformation. Now, the easiest thing is you become it first. You will allow everyone else to become and find ways, to become their vehicle for transformation. Now, this is the highest potential that you could ever get for your company. You don't even have to pay for that. People are more than willing to play their part if you go out of the way. Now, I think that's a rather good concept for, for most businesses. When we struggle with competition, we struggle with efficiency, in the Western world, with our business structures, we all want to be creative. We all want to be innovative. That's our mission. That's our purpose, why we are in this world, to address the huge issues, because we have this capacity,
So if I have the idea of being one of the vehicles, and there are many more around me, and I look from a perspective of, for example, the orange level, I see accidents all over.
Yeah. Like, yeah, because they're all in the better phase of autonomous driving. Yeah, sure, accidents will happen, but then the vehicles will not ask for someone else to repair, the vehicle, or to spend money on repair, or to solve the underlying issue. They will do themselves. That's the difference.
Okay. So first of all, you have to change the level of the mindset from the orange level to which one do you think, and it can happen?
It is this, the doors are different for different persons, right? I guess maybe you wanna think about what is the door. What is your door? Is it nature? Is it music? Is it art? Is it people? Is it whatever is your door that will bring you into a state of what I call, where you're centered, where you're rooted, where some sort of, peace and acceptance happens.
Mhm.
Where you feel, the starting point is maybe you feel relaxed. Start to relax. And this is the kind of mindset as a starting point that we want to have. If you're fully stressed out, if you are in fear or, whatever, people are closed. Now, if you're closed, you're detached, you're disconnected, you won't feel anything. So we want you to loosen up, to relax. So find your door. And because you would love finding your door. Everybody, most men I know, most people, most women I know, they love finding doors to relax. And now, once you found your door and you relax, you loosen up, you centered, you start breathing again, then you open up your senses. And once you open up your senses, start asking questions, start asking questions about who am I, what am I here for, what is really meaningful, to me, what is essential. Some people take it from the last day of their life, like maybe you want to write down a letter, which is, the speech of someone at your graveyard.
Mm.
So that is for some people very helpful, what you want them to tell about Stefan or Swanette or whoever. Stefan or Swanette was a person, who was this and that, and you could see his, behavior and, so many ways. The first step is we want to find your door, open the door that brings you into the state. And then take it from there.
So again, you need to calm down. You have to stop your mind carousel, the thoughts that go around and go to your heart. And then you can figure out the answers of who you are and why are you here.
Yeah. The reason why is that once you loosen up, your entire senses will open up. Now, when all the senses open up, you get connected again. You get connected to yourself, to your emotions, to the juice I was telling you about. You get connected to your environment. You start realizing what's happening. You get connected to your spouse, to your partner, to your kids again. You start realizing more. It's so much more. It's like you have your own instrument. For all the engineers. It's like your body is kind of a seismograph.
Mm.
Your body is capable of, you could know you could know the numbers of the lottery in the morning for the draw of the evening. That's the thing. You can foresee things happening, but if you're closed, hard to foresee anything, you're just, this. Now we need our capacity of accessing this information, and we all do have it. We just need to allow it, find the doors, open them again. And by the way, this will not just help you in business, this will help you in private.
Yeah.
Things get a lot easier.
So if you have opened the door and are sure you want to do your transformation and you find out, oh, there's a gap behind the door. So what is the jump people have to do to start this transformation, even if they are aware that it has to happen and that they want to choose? There's often a kind of resistance to jump into it.
Yeah, this is very well known. And this is where trust comes in. this is where we have to give up control, So it is when, everybody learns it. When you learn how to drive a car, the first step when you do it alone is always a test. Or when you learn how to scuba dive. I did learn scuba diving maybe 25 years ago. And in the pool, that was kind of, that was okay. But then offshore, open water, I thought I will drown once I was underwater. So the step from opening the door, becoming relaxed, becoming reconnected to what's happening, and doing the step is you need to know there will be fear. It's not a question if there is fear, or fear is a bad sign, I should get around it. No. Fear is a good sign. I once interviewed world-class extreme climbers, the brothers Huberborn. And, when they walk like walls that are just vertical, 3,000 meters vertical, and they hang into these walls. You think just by the looks of it, I would probably throw up. So they have to deal with fear. And I said, fear is our friend, because fear would give us direction, and it would open our senses fully. Fear, all your senses open up. For them is, what is the grip? What is the temperature? What is my blood rate? What is everything? Is it fine? Is it still optimum? So the fear will help you, if you go towards the fear, really become this optimum of, seismograph, of knowing where to go, how to go. So fear is good. So once you go towards the fear, we need to build up trust. Now, building up trust for most of us is kind of difficult, because we're so used to thinking we need to achieve a goal. And the only way by achieving a goal is to control every step ahead. Well, there's a good, nice saying, if you want to make God laugh, tell him about your plans. What I'm saying is, you don't need to believe in God or anything. But in my experience, coaching, consulting many companies, I have not yet seen a budget plan that converted 100% into the business results. And particularly in the times we're living right now, chances are that between the planning phase and the implementing phase, there's a huge difference. So we want to become good in, adapting, good in foreseeing, good in transforming, good in reacting, good in responding. This is what we need these days. And if you want to control, that's the exact opposite. I'm not saying that you just, hang out in your hammock and say, okay, somebody will do the job. No. But that you become very good in observing and seeing and including all the streams and what's happening. And this would mean that you trust the process. You would basically believe it may not turn out as planned, but what will come is even better than you plan. It's more authentic, it's more meaningful, it's more what it was meant to be, so you get actually something better. These days we want to get things that are more sustainable, that can go on for a longer period of time instead of having just a quarter profit. So you walk towards that fear, you become the seismograph, you have this belief, I trust the process, I will get better, there's something more sustainable, something more meaningful, I will be more authentic, I will loosen up. This is like falling in love. If you skip this stage of falling in love, it'll be difficult, to build up a relationship with your future spouse, future partner. You need to let go. Things won't happen as you want them to be. Not as fast, not as this way and the other way. So, you know, if two robots meet, it may be difficult. But if, but, you know, and everybody has the same fear, you know. I'm telling you, everybody has some fear somewhere. You know, they're just at different places. So even, you know, your boss has some fear. He might not, you know, tell you about it, but there are some fears. So it's good to have these fears that give you direction. Once you walk through them, you build up trust more and more. And once you pass them, guess what? By the way, the emotion of fear only ever lasts a maximum of 40 seconds. You know, that's not something, you know, I'm saying. That's scientifically proven. If you walk towards an emotion, fear is an emotion, you know, we believe it gets worse. It will last forever. It's like, you know, the ocean, the ocean of fear. No, it's a function that will build up for 40 seconds, and then you are in this top. And once you pass 40 seconds and you know, you were in this phase and you had your mind set up on, I believe there will be a better outcome, the fear emotion will drop. And then you learn something. Then you graduated on a higher level of trust. Yeah. And once you graduated on this higher level of trust, guess what? You become a vehicle. Because if you walk through your fear, you will demonstrate to your team, to your partner, to everyone around that this is a good way, you know? And if you face it, they will see the change. And that you will allow everyone to take his next step at his biggest point of fear at this moment. Well, that is probably the best culture we want to have. That's a culture of potential.
Yeah. So, of course, it's again being a role model and showing that you went through some fear and how you managed it, and then allowing other people also to do the process.
Absolutely. There's the old saying, and I think it's still valid, leaders go first. Okay. And, you know, it's not, in the old days, we saw this, you know, like the people, you know, marching in front and being these heroes. They walk first. No. It's, you know, times have changed. Now we see these leaders who, you know, who do it not like heroically and, for, you know, as a big PR campaign, but who really serve the purpose of the company, the purpose of themselves, the purpose becoming a big vehicle that can take a lot of people along, allowing to become themselves big vehicles.
And the skills that are necessary, do you mean that everybody has them inside and only needs to open up and become aware of the inspiration, and or can it be trained?
I think both is true. I think we all come with a set of a standard equipment. We all have standard equipment. And the standard equipment is an equipment that allows us to grow. And this allowing for growth is there is an internal set of drivers for growth. You know, people want to grow, you know. So that we all do share this standard equipment. But now, you know, when we grow older, then it comes to us whether we want to listen to the alarm clocks. You know? And some people are very good at turning on the radio, make the radio sound louder than the alarm clock. And And others, they start listening the first time. And in my experience, when you start listening the first times, it's not as tough. The learning is smoother. But if you, get the alarm clock many times, it goes off, and you turn the radio louder and louder and louder, then, the lessons that need to be learned, in my experience, seem to be harder, tougher. So I guess you can't avoid these. You will get them. And your choice is kind of, do I want to address this sooner or later? But that's personal choice. Chacun son goût.
And now, if you think trusting the process, if you need some kind of other perspectives on this process, who would you call in and give you some, more other insights or more insights?
I would always call in someone who I trust. Some friend, some people who know me, some people who actually have gone through a process themselves, who made it through some crisis. So I would look out for someone who went through this journey, who has taken this journey. And this could be a friend, it could be a coach, it could be,
Okay, you would call someone who you trust, you said, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And trust doesn't just mean that he does what I want him to do, but that he speaks from experience. In this area of learning, we want to be with someone who knows the territory.
Yeah.
Yeah. And find a way, who is a good navigator in this territory, who found his way in that territory.
Yeah. So this brings me to the next question. What is your way or your vision for the future?
I mean, if you had asked me this question 10 years ago, I would have told you I bring the 30 chief executive officers of the German industry together in a sailing boat for 2 weeks. And I go offshore. And I would face them with these questions that we, talked about in our podcast. And I would have believed that at the end of it, maybe half of them, they would have got the message, and that would change the world. Now, after my journey, after all I went through and I learned and navigating the territory, I became humble. So I kind of believe more into the individual. Because I do know, as we explored, that every individual gets his alarm at some point in his life. And when I think about where is my center of influence or my circle of influence, then I realized it's my immediate environment. So it's my family, it's my kids, it's my business partners, it is suppliers, the people I work with on a daily basis. And I found the biggest lever of transformation happens if I walk my talk in this immediate environment. Because the people would observe some change in the way I am in partnerships, I am in relationships, how I act when, you know, the Americans have a nice saying, when shit hits the fan. I mean, no, when things get rough, let's put it this way. And this will create some sort of a wave, if you like, you know, that is like a pulsing wave that comes from my heart, from my being, from my acting differently. And now, when it comes from this part, you know, I'm more authentic. I'm more in line with, I don't need a mask anymore. I'm just who I am, you know, what I believe in, what I think, and what I feel and how I act would be the same. It's one. And this oneness has the greatest power on the journeys of other people. You know, people would kind of realize, oh, something is happening with this person. I don't know what, but somehow he or she is different. Somehow this is more meaningful. Somehow this feels more powerful. Somehow it gets across of being more centered, of more alive, of more true, of, you know, happy. You know? Now people say, oh, I want this. I want this now.
What are you doing? How can I?
Yeah. What are you taking in the mornings? No, it's not. So, and coming from this picture, as I said, now you are rooted, you're centered in who you are, and this is what we call purpose. You know, why am I here? This is the answer to the question why I'm here. Now, I guess I'm here. One of the elements is of being a bridge builder between the running system of how we run the economy right now into the next step of potential of running business or running the economy. And I strongly believe if, you know, that the power lies within every individual. You know, we don't want to wait for some guru, some CEO, I don't know, for some, I don't know, who's coming to tell us, yeah, this is a better way. It will never happen. You know, because if you have become CEO of, you know, a company, then you would have needed to learn, you know, all the ways how the business is working, that everybody will trust in you, that you will continue this way. So I believe in individuals. And I believe that once an individual gets his alarm and reacts or responds to this alarm and starts, you know, becoming more conscious, becoming a real great vehicle for transformation, this will allow more people to become the same because it feels better, it is better, it has a bigger impact, it has a more sustainable impact on our planet, our people, and on our businesses, what we call profit. You know, to me, we don't have, you know, profit is not our problem. Lack of purpose is. You know, profit is just a consequence of being centered and, you know, guiding the business around the purpose, which unfolds in being good for people, good for the planet, and being good for the business. So that is, you know, how I see things unfolding to the better.
So you think people, planet, and profit is connected, and you have to go inside of yourself to figure out who you are, what your purpose is, then bring it to the society, to your environment, and bring it into your business. And so it's the way we can create future.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, you know, it's like, as we started with this enlightenment thing, you know, you don't need to be perfect to contribute to this being good for planet, people, and profit. No, you just want to choose to be on the journey, want to discover, you know. In the old days, you know, 1492, when someone went out with a sail ship and finding out that our planet is a bowl is round, you know, it just took courage to explore. So All I'm suggesting, take your courage that you have to meeting goals that are maybe meaningless, find a better goal, and go after that. Start exploring some new territory. And this will create the vehicle, the energy for everybody else to being less frightened about finding your greatness, your own vehicle to contribute. And this is what people truly motivates. You want to be yourself a new vehicle, because people then become adults.
Yeah.
And then, adults, but then they all connected through a meaningful purpose, and this will bring down meaningful goals, and this will bring the team to a point where they know the direction, but a meaningful direction. And then they find their own ways, and they will deal with all the hurdles, and they will deal with the fears, and they will explore the territory and find ways you haven't even dreamt about. I think that is I would want to be a leader in such a company.
So many insights you gave our audience. Is there something that you want to add that I didn't ask you?
Be happy. Enjoy the ride. A good friend of mine, actually, he's my mentor. He's an old sailor. When I hit those areas, where I suffered some fear, he always told me, Stefan, you are just in the middle of the ocean in a storm. That's all, you can't quit now, but I'm telling you, you will make it. You just need to be responding to what needs to be done right now, and you will be in a safe harbor at a better place. Mm-hmm. So enjoy the ride.
Thank you for the last great words. And thank you so much, Stefan, for being on my show today. So I
had lots of fun, and I really appreciated our conversation. Thank you for choosing this topic, and I hope the audience finds some information, some hints on how to navigate in a new territory.
I'm sure. Thank you so much. Bye.